Hey guys, Tarke here, and this is going to be my update for the 2 starter builds I recommended for this league. I am level 92, and this is what my Atlas looks like. Now, the 4 Shaper Guardians, I didn't actually kill those. The guy who's absolutely dominating my ladder, just a couple levels ahead of me, Zeit, he got a end of day 2, start of day 3 Uber Elder kill in our private league, which is 20% movement on movement speed, attack, and cast speed on monsters, and minus 20 auras, which also affects chaos. So keep in mind, I've had this progression minus the Guardian maps, playing a mix of group and solo, mostly solo since I hit maps. I was grouping while leveling, and I got up to tier 13 red maps on a 4 link. So for main league, without all the extra private league modifiers, definitely an incredibly viable league starter. I opted for the Coldsnap Vortex build over the Armageddon build purely just because I picked to do this one first. I will do the Armageddon build later on. I'll give a few quick tips for the Armageddon build, and I'm going to focus purely on this build. For people playing the Armageddon build, I've had lots of reports of it working incredibly well into the early maps, and the people who have gotten into red said it's still holding up. For some people saying they would like a little bit more single target, one suggestion I've seen is actually dropping this cluster here. Since you're going pure ignite, you don't really need to stack additional brands on an enemy. So some people said they've actually dropped this node so they don't lose a totem, and then they're using a balefire linked with multiple totems, so they get 3 scorching ray totems to help aid the single target. It's probably what I would do, but if you're going pure ignite, try it out. If you're not noticing it, don't bother. I would definitely recommend balefire scorching ray to supplement your damage somewhere in your setup. And some people have gone for a more like upfront damage or hybrid damage, like a mix of upfront and ignite. If you look at Ryze's profile, Ryze has been pushing with a Armageddon brand Elementalist, crushing the content. That was a really random sub because I'm not streaming. Thank you, homie. So yeah, Armageddon brand, really, really solid. Look out for Balefire. Definitely would recommend trying to fit that somewhere in, and have a Val Righteous Fire to boost your damage. Now, let's talk about the Coldsnap guys. And the gearing will apply to both, by the way. So for Coldsnap guys, your main focus is going to be getting a nice cold damage overtime multiplier weapon. Spell damage does scale your dot damage for this. So get as much elemental, spell damage, cold damage, attack speed for movement speed, and cold damage multiplier as you can, 100%. Also, this is true for both builds, because a lot of people ask before I get into full gear stuff. Your progression, get Patient Reaper first, 100%, you want the defense. I would also recommend getting Weave the Arcane first, afterwards in Cruel, once you have your mind over matter. I would say go full defense this league, and then choose between Swift Killer and then Prolonged Pain. But yes, you want these 2 first. Right, back into the gearing. So, get yourself one of these, boom boom. Highly recommend the Malachi's Artifice Ring. I use this for Elite Overload. I use a Storm brand. Obviously, the Armageddon brand guys don't want to use a brand slot, so use an Orb of Storms. I use Storm brand just because I like it, and this build doesn't use brands otherwise. Very strong, would recommend. It's loads of damage and has a bunch of resists. For your Amulet and your other ring, I would recommend going for Crafted. Flat mana, percent of damage taken gained as mana over 4 seconds when hit. It goes up to 6%, I believe. Yeah, 6% at max, and it costs 4 chaos each. So if you can get this on 2 slots, that's 12% of all damage you take, you'll regain. Very strong for mind over matter builds. Incredibly powerful. You're going to want a Coldsnap / Vol Coldsnap and a Vortex. You can actually craft on Gloves, Helm, and I think also Boots, level of skills. Plus level of socketed AoE gems with increased AoE. It costs 1 divine, it's kind of expensive, but if you get yourself a very nice helm or a very nice pair of gloves, you can craft this on there and have your Vortex or your Coldsnap in there. I prefer having the Coldsnap Vol Coldsnap as the skill I lead with. If you prefer Vortex, have it the other way around. Otherwise, when it comes to using a shield or another weapon, if you want to go full DPS, dual wield 2 weapons like this, and then use a Leap Slam or Consecrated Path for movement, I'm opting for the extra defense. So just get as much life and elemental damage as possible. I'm also stacking Chance to Block, because even though I have Phase Acro in this build, I still have a fairly respectable 15 and 8% chance to block. And that doesn't seem like very much, but trust me, it helps. As much mitigation as you can get into your build, get into your build. If you are going for the dual weapon leap slam setup, I'd also recommend using Comb's Roots in your boots. That way you'll be stun immune. Stun immunity is very powerful this league. Also highly recommend having Aspect of the Spider somewhere in your setup. Aspect of the Spider is fairly common now. You can definitely buy it early in Trade League. I got this day 1 of the league. You can get this from Syndicate members. And it's just very, very strong. The only reservations I'm using are Aspect of the Spider and a very low level clarity. You can get away with reserving a little bit of your mana. If you get into Shaper farming, you could also use the free Temp Chains Blasphemy Amulet for even more defense. I'm currently doing Temp Chains and Cast on Damage Taken, and also make sure you have a Bone Offering and Cast on Damage Taken to consume corpses, because a lot of the Syndicate stuff is scary when you have lots of corpse stuff going on. As for the tree, it's exactly as I said in the build guide, and how I progressed this tree. I came through here, got some early life, grabbed Elemental Focus, I skipped this, I rushed all the way over to Elite Overload. Once I had Elite Overload, I then got Mind Over Matter. Then I came through these life nodes and I got the full Fingers of Frost cluster. Now, if you're struggling, at this point, I'll probably recommend saying come down and grab Acro Phase Acro. If you're not struggling, then come up here, grab the AoE, grab the life, and grab Breath of Rhyme. I actually got Acro Phase Acro very late. I didn't get it to about level 75, level 80. I got Templar fast. I'd recommend most people get Templar last on their skill tree. But you should have this finished, life-wise, everything filled in, around about mid to late 80s, at which point you then just start getting jewels. For jewels, I don't have anything too fancy. I've just got life and some dodge, spell dodge. Life, some resist, some cast speed. Life, some resists. And here, would very much recommend for everyone playing Trickster, Winter's Bounty. Another reason why I prefer Trickster over Occultist. This Threshold Jewel makes Coldsnap grant power charges instead of frenzy charges, and Coldsnap's cooldown is bypassed by power instead of frenzy charges. The reason why this is important is as a Trickster, once you have your Uber Lab, or Merc Lab, depending when you get Swift Killer, we gain frenzy charges on kill. And we don't really want to be wasting our frenzy charges, because the frenzy charge uptime means we move faster. Now, you can maintain this most of the time, even without this node. I just like having that extra uptime on my frenzies, because sometimes, you know, you're like clearing a map, you use up all your cold snaps, and you have to like shield charge through, and that just felt kind of bad. Would very much recommend. It's very, very solid. Big things to really look at gearing-wise. For the Armageddon brand players, I would 100% recommend using this unique flask. This drops off of the final boss of the Syndicate, and it is ridiculous. If you're using this plus a Balefire, you can have something like 9% of your life, mana, and energy shield gained whenever you kill. Like, that's pretty darn strong. Strongly recommend the Gull. I'm currently not using the Gull because I can't fix my resist because I have the minus resist limitations. Gull, incredibly powerful helmet, very much slept on and very easy to buy. It's very accessible. You will get these for absolutely nothing. Just get it. It's really, really good. Other very notable things that you can go for to kind of warp the build a little bit. You could go for a Blood of the Karui, and I would recommend everyone to get Blood of Karui as soon as you can. You can use Livunga's Spirit, which I have one somewhere, if you are struggling to maintain your mana, but you really shouldn't. Here it is. This gives your manas have no cost during the effect. Incredibly powerful. Soul Ripper, a lot of people said why using Soul Catcher, sorry. It has the cannot gain mana during effect. This is a Mind Over Matter build, so I don't want to run it for fairly obvious reasons. If you're lucky and you get a 6-link bow or staff early on, you can craft plus levels using essences. And if you want to go full DPS, you could have like a crazy plus levels bow. If you are doing CI as an occultist or as a trickster, you could then also use the Soul Strike quiver as well for extra energy shield recharge. Potentially very powerful. I know some people who are actually using Kataba's Thirst for the Coldsnap Vortex setups, and they're purposely getting their mana costs very high so that they are triggering Arctic Breath as well. I don't really like Arctic Breath. Having played with it very briefly, I think it's absolutely awful compared to Coldsnap and Vortex. It has lower damage than Vortex, lower damage than Coldsnap, because Coldsnap also comes with Valcourt Coldsnap, and it's just very clunky to play with. It's definitely the most awkward of the three, and you don't need all three. Again, I was using just Coldsnap and Vortex in 4 links, clearing up to 13 maps. And again, this is a starter build. This isn't like your Uber Elder killer, but fully geared, I think you could very easily boss kill on this build, since it has a lot of strength, the fact that you just place the Coldsnap and then run away, right? And then refresh every now and again. Meaning it's very nice for bossing, because you're just free to dodge left and right, left and right, left and right. Very, very strong. Other crafts which are potentially quite interesting is this one. Trigger a socketed spell when you use a skill. If you planned around it correctly and you were lucky with modifiers, like say you had an open suffix after a cold damage over time multiplier, you could again mix with having your cold snaps, or your vortexes, or your arctic breaths in here. So you just wording blades or shield charge, and you're triggering all of these spells to pop off. I think you could make some very interesting, almost Cosprey style playstyles going for this kind of setup. For the Armageddon brand character, I think you could also do something kind of similar. You might even be able to do like full Righteous Fire tree and have your Armageddon brand in like a plus fire levels scepter, or if you had a Shaper scepter with like controlled destruction and a bunch of extra links on there. And just have it so every 4 seconds you have Armageddon brands popping off around you, and you're using the Righteous Fire to clear. Very powerful, very interesting modifier once you unlock it. There are a lot of things in here which are just exceptionally strong. You just need to kind of like glue all the pieces together, so to speak. But yes, brief recap of items to look out for. The Gull, because it's a really good one. Cinder Swallow Urn, it's just ridiculous. It scales Trickster recovery to an all-new high, and stacking that recovery is a very powerful effect. Anything which gives socketed triggers, be it here or here, to automate some of your gameplay. For chest piece, and some people ask what is the best in slot chest you could go for, Cloak of Defiance is very strong for Supermom. Definitely have Aspect of the Spider somewhere. You could even go for stuff to buff up your Aspect of the Spider. I can't remember if it's a helm or, no, it's a chest piece, I believe, of the final boss of Syndicate, which has the flesh offering, special flesh spirity thing, is broken as hell. Every 4 seconds you consume all nearby corpses, healing yourself, your life, mana, and energy shield. This is very powerful because quartz consumption is very good this league. It has very good synergy with Cinder Swallow, because this gains charges when you consume ignited corpses. Very powerful for ignite-based builds, obviously. And it also gives you additional healing. So whenever you kill something, you instantly full heal because you're stacking all of these effects. And then the corpses are then consumed by your chest and your cast no mistaken offerings, or even just triggered offerings, right? So if you use this flask and have an offering in a weapon with this on it, whenever you're shield charging through a map, you're then consuming the corpses behind you, buffing all your previous effects. And also, Syndicate guys, again, a lot of the Syndicate mods gain buffs or do a lot of damage when they consume corpses. The main weakness of these like damage over time builds is they don't shatter. You can very easily work around it. So just to very briefly summarize, Coldsnap, Armageddon, Trickster, let's go. 10 out of 10. I don't care what Rise says. Trickster is amazing. Hopefully this helps some people. I'm Tarke. Have a good day. Bye-bye.